Okay, I've got a Carnot cycle with air in it. It's got a thermal efficiency of 50. Okay, I've got a table sitting here, but it's all kind of written up here as well. So it says the heat transfer during the isothermal expansion is 50 kilograms. So that's going to be the first process, 1 to 2. Okay, and at the end of that, I've got a pressure and a volume given here at state 2. It wants me to find the work and the heat for all these. So you'll remember I've got 0 plugged in because it flips back and forth between adiabatic, and then these two are isothermal. Okay, so yeah. So the first thing we do in anything like this is we set our states, which is essentially, because it's a closed system, find my U values. I see right here, ideal gas, I can find my temperature, and I'm going to do that using my ideal gas law. So P2V2 equals M R T2, right? So I know P, I know V, I know M. R is going to be 8314. I'm going to divide that by, well, maybe I just go ahead and quickly jot in my answers here. So I have P2, that's going to be 574 times 10 to the 3. V2 is 0.3. And I'm going to divide that by 1 kilogram times 8314 divided by 28.97 for air. And from that, I calculate that T2 equals 600 Kelvin, which means this is 600 Kelvin. Okay. It also means that T1 is 600 Kelvin because that's the isothermal expansion, process 1 to 2. So isothermal means this is also 600. Okay. Now, knowing that this is a Carnot cycle, I can actually find my other temperature, my colder temperature, okay, from this equation, right? Right? Where efficiency is 50%, so 0.5 equals 1 minus Tc over 600 tells me Tc has to be 300 Kelvin. So these two are 300. Again, these are the two isothermal processes. Okay, so isothermal, then this is adiabatic. Isothermal, and then 4 back to 1 is adiabatic. Okay, so now I can look up the U values for 600 and 300. This is air, so I go to my air table, table A22. I go down to 300, and I see U at 300 is 214.07, and U at 600 is 434.78. So I can jot those numbers in right here. Again, this would be 434.78, 434.78, and then this was 214.07. 214.07. So I've set my states now, right? I found all my U values. Now I just need to go through and calculate my first law equation, right? Or calculate my works and my heat. So I guess let's start with we'll just start with process 1, okay? Now, or process 1 to 2, the first process. Again, U is unchanged. So again, my first law equation is U 1 to 2 equals Q 1 to 2 minus the work 1 to 2. Okay? Well, if U1 to 2 is 0, right, because U2 minus U1 is 0, that means Q1 to 2 equals work 1 to 2 equals 50 kilojoules. So work here is 50, right? And again, that's for the isothermal processes where the U values are constant. Okay? Now, for process 2 to 3, U2 to 3 equals Q2 to 3 minus work 2 to 3. Now, of course, Q2 to 3 is 0. So that means work 2 to 3 equals 1 kilogram times delta U, which is 214. Wait, 2 to 3. Oh, yeah. I guess I'll put a negative sign on here, right? Because, again, I've got this negative sign here. So it's negative 214.07 minus 434 point whatever. And I get work 2 to 3 equals 220.7 kilojoules. Okay? Now going to, let's see here, to find 3 to 4, again, same reason, Q 3 to 4 equals work 3 to 4, right? Because again, 3 to 4, my U values are 0. So for the same reason as up here, my work equals my Q. Okay? Now, the other thing I know about a reversible cycle is that essentially QC over QH equals TC over TH, like so. Okay? Which means, well, what does that mean exactly? We'll go ahead and plug in our values for Q. So QC, this is going to be what I'm looking for. So this would be Q 3 to 4 divided by 50 equals 300 divided by 600, which gives me Q 3 to 4. And again, this is going to be Q out. So this is going to be negative 25 kilojoules. So that'll be negative 25. Again, this is because it's Q out to the cold value right there. Okay, and again, this is because this is a Carnot reversible cycle. Okay. Now, for the same reason as the other adiabatic process, 4 to 1 equals negative 1 times now the reverse of those, which is going to be 434.78 minus 214.01, which is going to be negative 220.7 kilojoules. So negative 220.7. Okay? So again, Carnot cycle flips between isothermal and adiabatic processes. Go through set your states, which is find your temperatures for air. Once you have temperatures, you can find your U values. Then, knowing what you know about delta U's and Q values, I go through and I can find my processes for my Q and my W for each of the processes that I have.